everyone. I hope you can see and hear me okay, even with my slightly less good quality webcam. As always, I'm coming to you live from the beautiful, I think it's Broughton or Bonington area of Edinburgh. For those who don't know me, I am the guy who does lots of music stuff at Cornerstone, and outside of that, I'm soon to graduate from acting and English at Edinburgh Napier. But I've been asked to share a bit of my story, or a bit of how God has impacted my life this morning. So because I'm an acting graduate, I've got a bit of a script that I'm reading from. So if I'm touching my screen like that, that's why. So this is my camo Bible. It's not because I was ever a cadet. My sister bought it because she thought I'd like the colour. And I did. I still do, in fact. She bought it for me when I just started being a teenager, so maybe she knew what she was doing, giving me a battle-ready Bible. One of the biggest battles in my life began in my teenage years, and centres around sex and sexuality. And by the time I was 15 or 16, I was trying to make difficult choices about relationships. Our society tells us that basically any sort of romance will do. God's word doesn't. God gives us a good, glorious framework for sex and relationships that leads to flourishing. Relationships outside that lead to decay. The classic simile for this is fire. Put a fire in a grate where it's safe, and it brings warmth and light to everyone. As soon as you move it somewhere else, it burns the house down. So I had to decide, was Jesus real? Did he die for me? If he did, could I really ignore him and try my own way to get life in all its fullness? At this point, I turned to my wee camo Bible, and at the front there's a handy list of verses. Under the section, where should I read when I have to make hard decisions, it pointed me to Romans 12, verses 1 to 2. Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. The word bodies jumped out. The passage is talking about your whole life, but for me, that night, it was talking about my body and what to do with it. Before that, when I had strayed into corners of the internet I shouldn't have been, I found a lot of people talking about worship and devotion, much more directly than I've ever seen elsewhere. These were people who wanted to sacrifice everything to their partners. The one good thing from me having seen that is that I came to understand how sad and futile it was. They were people trusting that they could sacrifice their whole lives to a flawed, sinful, broken human partner and yet somehow always be loved and never let down. At least they're honest. They know they want something to worship. Don't be fooled. You're not independent. We all need to worship something. And I realized through Romans that needed to be God above all else. The God who was willing to die for me and will be forever faithful and forever loving. He who gave everything deserves everything from me, my life, my body, and my sexuality. So I decided, your will be done. And I still do every day. I'm yet to be in a romantic relationship. Maybe I will someday. But I'm at peace with whatever happens, because Jesus is worth so much more than what this world has to offer. And I want to affirm you this morning, if you are single, that you are whole, loved, and fulfilled in Jesus. You're not some sort of half person waiting for your better half before you're made whole. I've barely touched on this today, but I know it's a real issue for a lot of people who might be scared to speak about it. Neil, Laird, Anna Lauren, Joe, myself, or any of the members of Cornerstone are always ready to talk confidentially, without judgment, and help you work through this. All the glory to the God who saved me.